Excuse me while I tend to some needy cats. I'll be back in just a moment. Greetings, everybody. We're on to my ongoing kinda self-guided anger management, where I play Doom and I rant. So we're doing a couple things here. We're going to add the soundtrack mod, we're going to add the Smooth Doom mod, and there's one called Lights, and I don't know what it actually does, but we're going to add that too. And we're going to see what happens. Let me actually move things over to the game this time. There we go. Yeah. Turn up the audio just a touch so I can hear it. Oh yeah, I never saved it. Oh, that's because I died, that's right. So we were on map 7, Limbo. Oh, I see what Lights does. That has much smoother lighting. Neat. Okay, I kind of like that. That's a worthy addition. Okay, I heard the door open. Okay, I heard that sound too, and I don't like it. I have a feeling I'm going to have an abundance of shotgun shells, so I'm just going to keep plinking away at him with this. Okay, maybe not. Well, okay, I think we really learned something there. So, amongst my ruminations over the week, and you have to forgive my voice a little bit, it is very smoky here. I live in northern lower Michigan, and if you're in the Midwest, you'll know exactly what that means. If you're not in the Midwest, you're going to wonder what in the hell, how in the hell I can live in a lower northern part, or northern lower part. It's very smoky here, because Canada is on fire, and the winds are currently carrying that south by southwest to, yeah, my backyard. My throat's a little sensitive because, oh god, I hate this part. I remember this map. I did play this once upon a time. You fuckers. Or I played some rehashed version of it in one of the map packs, TNT and Plutonia. Anyway, so my voice is a little rough, and I'm probably not going to play for that long tonight either, just because it is a little rough. So a couple notes. Oh yeah, it adds dynamic lights to these things, and the Smooth Doom makes that look so cool. This is starting to remind me a little bit of Tricks and Traps. Okay, apparently I need more bullets. I am really, really missing my double barrel shotgun. Really missing it. So, my throat's already a little screwed up because of exposures to something unknown in an industrial setting. And, I'm learning that as I get older, it gets a little more sensitive to atmospheric things. Fog and general haze and pollen doesn't seem to be that bad, but other things, no, those don't move, like smoke, inescapable smoke, I might, god damn it, I thought for sure I was out of the way of that. Inescapable smoke, I might add, seem to be aggravating it. So, my rumination for the week was actually Windows. of all things. So I work in IT. I've been a technician forever, and I'm a low-level manager. The good kind of low-level manager that understands how computers work, not just somebody that was hired because he had a business degree of some kind, or a business certificate, because man, the bar for that sure seems to be getting lower. I actually know how shit works, so I think that makes me a better manager. A little bit more expensive for some people, but you know what? As with most things, you get what you pay for. And I'm not going to get the full 200%, I don't care. But yeah, about Windows. Because those of you who are, you know, computer nerds like myself will probably know exactly where I'm going to go with this. But those of you who aren't, Windows has kind of followed a pattern over the years where it has a really solid release followed by an iffy one or an outright bad one, which is then followed up by an iffy one, which is then followed up by another solid release. And I'm going to use the 90s as an example, actually. Windows 3.0 was okay. It was kind of a novelty. Windows for Workgroups, or Windows 3.1, was good because it added all the functionality that was kind of missing. The ability to interface with networks, some patches or fixes to how it handled application switching and that kind of thing. Oof, I'm not going down there. I like the light, so I don't understand all of it. I don't honestly. At that point we were happy to be on DOS 6.22. Great. Yeah, okay. Don't have too many of those. He went squishy. Yeah, buddy. Don't know what that does. Probably something not great. Oh, no, that's actually helpful. Nice. So, Windows 3.1, though, overall was pretty solid as operating systems of the era go. It was kind of groundbreaking. It was not free of bugs or glitches, and operating system patching at that time was a fair bit of guesswork, if I'm being honest. Because it was installed off of floppy. CDs were around, but computer CDs, digital CDs, were not really a thing. CD drives for computers existed. I don't want to say they were a novelty because they were actually useful, but those were things that were limited to enthusiasts and data centers. Occasionally libraries, depending on what kind of income your library had. And that's where those in my age range will remember the CD caddies. And they just sat in a little carousel. I don't really want to go down there. I apparently have no choice but to go down there. So they were little clamshell enclosures with a spindle in them. So you just loaded the caddy into the drive interfaced with the spindle, a little, what do you want to call it, cover opened up so the laser could access the disk, and it had some good things and some bad things going for it. The good thing was it made it relatively easy to protect your CDs, which was, again, useful for libraries and whatnot. It made it easy to handle them. It was very nice. Made it easier to handle them. What made if it existed in an area where people are going to be touching it all day, it was generally better because people didn't understand CDs. They didn't get that it was a damageable form of media storage. So because of that, they would just grab them they would slap them face down on a fucking surface. They were just animals to them. So that prevented that. Now for the enthusiast, they were annoying. They honestly were. Because you couldn't... It made disc switching a pain unless you owned a bunch of carousel or a bunch of clamshells. It was... Damn it, I didn't mean to do that. And the clamshells weren't exactly cheap. I mean, I think they were like 20 bucks a pop, which doesn't sound like a whole lot right now. But, I mean, when you're considering $20 was 20 gallons of gas at the time, yeah, it was kind of a lot. So, most people had one, maybe two. I don't know where the fuck I'm going because I don't have the right key. Most people had one, maybe two, if they had their own home CD drive. And the CD drives were... It was kind of a split between external CD drives connected by either a SCSI ribbon cable or, even worse, a parallel port. Or it was internal, which then just went on an IDE ribbon. And they usually went in line with the hard drive, which is not ideal, but the data access speeds for everything was so slow at that point in time, it really didn't amount to a meaningful difference. So somewhere around here should be a secret level, I thought. So, yeah, OS patching was a tricky affair. You had to have it was mostly for enterprise clients. Everyone else just lived with the bugs. You know, I remember playing a game like a DOS game like Jetpack, and every now and then you just quit accepting input. All input. You couldn't close the game. There was no Alt F4. Control C was unknown to most of us at the time, and I'm not even sure if that actually worked in DOS at that time. It works now. If you open up a Windows terminal or even a command prompt from like Windows XP, Control C works. It will stop running whatever command you're running. Damn it, no. I don't think there's any more to be gained here. Yeah, because if I go over here, that's the teleporter thingamajig. Go back here, that I already pushed, and my timer's gonna run out any second now, so I need to get back there. Doop. Alright. I think we've established that there's really nothing more to be gained here, so back we go. Yeah, so enterprise clients. You know, people who couldn't live with the bugs, couldn't live with downtime. It really wasn't a viable option. Oh, that's where you drop down. It really wasn't a viable option to them. So they got patches. They either had somebody from a third party that came in and patched the software for them, or they had someone on staff to do it themselves. They'd get mailed if they had a CD installable version of Windows, they'd get mailed a new CD, or most likely even with the CD installed version of Windows, they'd get mailed a floppy that has the patch, and you have to schedule downtime for that. Which doesn't sound, again, doesn't really sound like that big of a deal, because when we patch now, I mean, assuming you have a decently powerful rig, it's, you know, 5 minutes, maybe a half hour. It's not, no, I don't like this. It's generally not an involved deal, and when you get to servers and stuff even, your downtime is typically minimal. You have everything set to push out overnight, and you might have some people on staff to monitor it. It depends on how robust you feel your that's nice. Your automated systems are to catch problems and intercede. Just can't avoid that, huh? let's see what's behind pillar number 1. Oh, hey, nice. That'll help. That's, oh, was there? Wait a minute. No. Confused me there for a second. This game is good at that. You know, I didn't actually know how to run in Doom for the longest time. Couldn't figure out how in the hell people got all this shit. And then someone's like, you hold down the run button. What the fuck's the run button? Yeah? Shift. If you go with the classic setup. Alright. Back here. No, I need to get over. Yeah. Okay. Don't need to get over there. It's not that way. I must need to go behind that other pillar. Yes, indeed. Here we are. So, where I'm going with this, and I didn't really want to do that, did I? Is that Windows 3 was kind of weak, but it was innovative, so it caught up. Windows 3.1 was justified, and it really was kind of a minor update. From a visual standpoint, nothing really changed. From an under-the-hood standpoint, they added a lot of functionality, mostly in terms of networking. So then came Windows 95 in 1995, and Windows 95 was basically, from a visual standpoint, a ground-up redesign. It was a completely different animal, building on what they did with Windows 3.1. Yay, ammo. And changing the interface to what is still around in some way, shape, or form today. With, you know, the start bar at the bottom, the start menu, the desktop, Windows Explorer, etc., etc. And then 98 was viewed as a bit of a weaker release. 98, I got 98 when 98 SE or 2nd edition came out, and 2nd edition was fine. It fixed a lot of the bugbears with 98, including networking support and plug-and-play support, which, oh god, plug-and-play back in the day was fucking awful. And there's a reason why we called it plug-and-pray. Why is this not damaging me anymore? Okay, there it is. Ah, I got it. Yay, go me. Oh, come on. That's just mean. Now, what did that do? Something out here, yeah. I heard it go ka-chunk. So now I have to go over here. Go here. And okay. I think. No. God. This is a part my sister was always better at than I was. Finding the puzzles and finding the exit button. Her and I would play this together as teenagers. I would clear the room of monsters, she would come in and solve the puzzles. So I need to go to that one up there on the right. Yeah. Maybe? Alright, this is a saving moment. Nope. That's why you save. 98 SE was mostly okay. Mostly. It had way less bugs in it than 98 or 95 from an operational perspective. And it had support for plug and play, what they were then referring to as true plug and play, and it had support for USB, which was at the time okay. It definitely had some issues. God damn it. And one of the biggest issues was how the Windows 98 kernel handled device drivers. So when you install the device in... Oh, I just did this. God damn it. How did you get over there? There's got to be a way. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm totally missing something here. So I need to go... Where? I need to get into this room somehow, but I don't know which teleporter's linked to there, unless it's one at the very beginning. But I don't think so. I've already been over there. See, that's what I wish the minimap did have, is arrows. Yeah, this teleporter goes here. Not, well, step in and find out. Fuck you. But that's also part of what makes the game challenging, and in this case I'm running really low on health. And this is about to get bad. Alright, where I started. Any health in here? Anything hidden that I missed? Oops, no. So 98 SE was okay. It was a jump forward in a way, mostly in terms of hardware support and USB support. And the way Windows 98, however, handled drivers was when they were installed. Like, it didn't remove the driver from active use just because you unplugged the thing. So you would wind up with installs that would just bog down and crash. And it turns out they just had oodles of drivers running all the time. So you'd have to go in safe mode every so often and just spend a half hour to an hour removing drivers. It was about as exciting as it sounds. Now! I was so close. How do you get there? But, as a computer tech, a budding computer tech, it was steady business. So Windows 98 SE finished pretty strong. And there were now limited options for online driver updates, which was mixed. Fuck, I need to start this level over, because I'm gonna die. I don't know where any more health is, and I don't know how you get there. I need to get somewhere in there. Either I'm missing something obvious, or the game's just playing a cruel trick on me. Equally possible. So that was steady business, but the USB support, it hadn't really caught on yet, and it didn't catch on for quite a while, comparatively speaking, compared to other technologies like the fucking CD. That was, I don't want to say it was overnight, but it was pretty damn fast. Alright, so we're over here. This leads over here. Can't get back over there from here. Oh yeah, I can. Here. But when it did start to catch on, it presented some problems because of how Windows 98 handled drivers. So I feel a little bit better about life now. So they had to fix that. And there really wasn't a good way to fix it. So enter Windows ME, or Windows Millennium, which was awful. And everybody will, and this was a bad idea. Everybody will remember it forever as being awful because they took the Windows 98, what do you call it, system, and just added a little bit better, not a lot, a little bit better, USB support, USB hot plug-in support. I'm gonna die, yep. So, But they didn't fix the driver removal problem. They added a little bit more advanced networking support, but they didn't really do much more than just kind of ad hoc patch the base layer of the OS to back it up. Yeah, alright, we're loading. So what this did introduce was a lot of bugs. A lot. And Windows ME is generally remembered as being bad because of all those bugs. Alright, we'll deal with you guys first. So it was kind of swept under the rug, and that was also when there were upgraded editions of Windows, where if you had an old version of Windows, you could pay less for an upgrade. So the full version of Windows might cost 120 bucks or 100 bucks, and then the upgrade would cost 90. And what you had to do is, while you were installing it, you had to stick your CD in there, and it would read the files off the CD, and then it would ask you to put the original install CD back and continue on. Now, this is flawed for what to most of you out there will see as obvious reasons. You can take any old Windows CD, you could buy it at a discount, then say it didn't work and return it. I mean, there are so many tricks people used to skimp out on paying for a full version of Windows. That's why that's not around anymore. So, Windows ME was swept quite quickly under the rug. Ow! And I'm gonna die again. I thought I was being clever. Well, could have been worse, I guess. Then there's Windows 2000. Windows 2000 was great. Not exactly for the everyman, but it was great. It had a completely different kernel, completely different file management system. A lot of the problems that actually pretty much all the problems that existed in the DOS-based version of Windows were resolved. It now uninstalled the driver hardware, it removed the device driver from storage, or from whatever. It was no longer allocated. You couldn't boot into safe mode and see all kinds of unused devices still installed and technically running. So that alone fixed a huge amount of problems. It ran on a different kernel. It didn't run on DOS anymore. Fuck you. Which also fixed a large number of problems. Because DOS, as mentioned, was buggy. And we just kind of lived with it, because that's just how things work. Computers were buggy, computers crashed, computers did things you didn't want them to do, sometimes with your data. I want to, but I should heal up somehow first. So let's go back to the main area, and let's grab those. Ooh, shotgun shells. Yay. Ooh, health pack. Yay. Fuck. I don't think I'm gonna make it tonight. I can already feel myself fading a bit. But yeah, not exactly for the everyman. It was very advanced for what it was, which was basically an NT operating system kernel in a little bit more user-friendly package. Windows 2000 Server was great, thus beginning the Windows Server line named after a year. So it gave us bug-free, relatively speaking, or a lower bug count in USB and hardware support. And it paved the way for XP. Now, XP was for the everyman, and counter to what most people remember, at its release, XP was not good. it had security flaws abound. And if any of you are familiar with grc.com, you'll be familiar with some of the security flaws too. Like its incredible ability to be exploited for Trojan horses. It was the pre-release that some people saw. It was almost legendary for some of the gaping holes because it did new things. And all the options were on by default. And the reason why Windows 2000 was less user-friendly is because all the options were off by default. Alright, Cat, you can't stay there on my keyboard. Sorry, bro. Damn well. Red key, yay. So now I know as soon as you grab one of those radiation suits, use it as quickly as you can. Yeah, when Windows XP came out, it was not that great, and it was. I remember we did an experiment at the little shop I worked in. We deployed a Windows XP machine to our neighbor. We were in a strip mall. One of our neighbors was a dentist's office, and they wanted a new computer for I don't remember what. It was a while ago. So we deployed a Windows XP machine. We did not install a third-party firewall on it. We just let it run. It was down, like unusable, because of all the viruses that hit it in a day. And this is before broadband was really common. Fuck, did I just find it? Where is that? Okay. Okay. Now I know where I have to go. So, broadband wasn't that common. So that means that these exploits were so bad and so easy to do that they were often done over dial-up, and it took less than 24 hours. So that's bad. So, but also, Windows 2000 introduced something called the Service Pack, which for people who were, no, I'm going in circles again. People who were in the bandwidth restriction zones, because again, not very common, they had the option of, rather than updating it piecemeal, one patch at a time, of waiting until there's a collection of critical patches and then finding a way to get what was called a Service Pack. And so you download or you get shipped to you on a CD this huge file that has all or a lot of vulnerability patches up to that point. So you lived with the bugs, and then when the vast majority of them were fixed, you just fixed it, you patched them all in one shot, and it took a long time. Like, it was basically its own Windows installation process, which is why you'll hear or you'll see things like XP Service Pack 1, XP Service Pack 2, Service Pack 3A. Now, by the time I did it again. By the time it got to Service Pack 2, it was pretty good. It was much more stable. It was much more hack resistant. And God damn it. Are the stairs down? Yes, they are. It was much more stable, much more hack resistant. Didn't really have anything extra added in terms of functionality. But overall, it was better. It was more reliable. Everything that could have been improved about it, more or less was. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I actually needed those. And then, before Windows 7, there's Windows Vista, or if any of you guys downloaded the leaked pre-release Longhorn. It was awful. Like, truly awful. It was kind of like what installing Windows 11 now on a modern computer without an SSD would be like, because it was slow. It was a resource hog. For no apparent reason. So, come to find out, they had added a bunch of widgets and actually called them widgets that ran behind the scenes and were hard drive intensive. And there wasn't any real... They were kind of baked into the operating system, so there wasn't really any good way to remove them. So now, you had this OS that had a bunch of superfluous gadgets added to it that didn't really serve any purposes other... I mean, there's a little bit of workspace improvements, like the sticky notes. The sticky notes were cool. Alright, cat, you're doing it again. Yeah, sticky notes was cool. I forgot what else I was going to say now. I think this is the one. The clock function was kind of cool. Okay, I did that out of order. Like putting the resource monitor, the speedometer for the RAM and for the CPU on there was kind of neat. And then later you could get other ones that actually had more useful data, like a little bar graph, a little line graph type deal. Alright, so that gives me that. There's another button to push around here somewhere to bring up that bridge. But, again, really hard drive intensive. And everybody hated it. It was pretty much universally hated. I need to go find another one of those there. Actually, does this do what I want? Yep, that did it. But unlike recent versions of Windows, notably 11, when Microsoft found out that nobody was buying it, and they had no real way to compel them to, they changed a bunch of things, very quickly, and released Windows 7. Hey! 100% of everything, go me. Thought this was entering dis. Now here it is. So, Windows 7 was great, actually, right off the bat, because they didn't have to change a whole lot. It just kind of worked out of the box. And it worked well out of the box. Yeah, Spider Mastermind level. Forgot about this part. I want to get rid of the floaty dudes. And it held on for a long time. Obviously, bug fixes, improvements, all kinds of stuff had to be given out to it. Alright, so I need to keep as many of those dudes alive as possible so that I can get fighting to happen. No, that is not what I wanted you to do at all. I need health, and I do not see any. He's got large hitboxes, though. Good, they shot each other. Maybe they'll start fighting now. Yep, one more stray round's gonna kill me. Yay! He ain't gonna last long, but I don't care. So, yeah, Windows 7 was good. And we're just starting to get into, like, the seriously mobile area. Like, smartphones weren't quite ubiquitous yet. They were there. Most notably the iPhone, of course. Because that's what kind of started the whole craze. I don't like this. And then Android came on the scene, and things really kicked off. And Windows 7 didn't embrace it right, because it wasn't really a thing like it is now when Windows 7 was around. There's no health on this whole fucking level. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. The armor's nice. You just plink away at him with rockets. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Yeah, goodbye. We'll come back to that one later. And then Windows 8. Windows 8 was terrible. Windows 8.1 fixed it a little bit by adding the start menu back, but Windows 8 tried to turn everything into a smartphone. Alright, yeah, we're just gonna kill that. And where I was going with this, 8.1 added the start menu back, but it was still clunky because you had to actually ask for it. You know, you couldn't, it wasn't just there, you had to manually set it up to always be there. So Windows 8 and 8.1 were terrible. Nobody liked them pretty much, and so they didn't get much market share. Windows 10 came around. At first, it sucked. It really did. It was fucking slow, it was clunky, half the shit worked, half the shit didn't, and then they started slowly patching things out of existence that Windows XP and Windows 7 still used, and every other version up until then still used, like SMB1 protocol, stuff like that, without having a universal way to replace it with something. Everyone had to manually move everything over to like SMB2 or some equivalent of the simple message something or other. So that killed a lot of networking setups like mine. I had to go back to 18H2, I think, so the one that came out in 2018. No, it was 2016 or early 2017, because everything after that had it removed and they didn't have a way to add it back in. So then, 2019, they finally patched a way that you could add it back in as part of Windows components. So a lot of people like myself did that, because otherwise their networks wouldn't fucking work, because we couldn't replace all our hardware. And then 2020 is when it was finally good. I pretty much ran Windows 7 up until 2019, as much as I could get away with. But 2020, I upgraded my box to a Ryzen 3950X, and the board didn't really play well with Windows 7 because it's UEFI and didn't have a native BIOS support. Windows 7 was great, all around, worked well, ran well. Had all the software support that you could want. It didn't go back to 16, it did go back to 16-bit if you really wanted it to, and they removed that support moving forward. It went from, even though it was 64-bit, had a underlying 16-bit base, they removed all that in the name of lightening up the install, which that really fucking worked well, because now we had Windows 10, which was a bad release at first, and then eventually, after about 4 years, turned into a good one. Now we've got Windows 11. On the surface, Windows 11 looked good. It looked pretty much the same as Windows 10. Some minor cosmetic alterations, not too much. However, the troubles began as soon as somebody else tried to install it, and they looked at the minimum requirements. You needed a TPM chip, Trusted Platform module for encryption, by default. And then this was in the middle of the GPU scalping years. Seeing that, everybody and their brother bought up all the TPM chips, and then triple, quadrupled, whatever. They were like $20 items, and they went up to $200. Some did. It wasn't universal, but they went up a lot. And Microsoft stubbornly held on to needing TPM to install Windows 11. So it didn't gain market share in like single percents. And then someone realized, hey, if you use this key press, you can bring up the command prompt. And in the pre-installed environment, it is basically a RAM disk of Windows, so it has a registry. So you can go into the registry before you move any place to where it reads those registry keys and turn this one off. And it disables the more troublesome installation requirements. And then you can install it. And I did. Still running it. Works just fine. Then the AI bandwagon came rolling around. Now before that, they had in my opinion, a big issue with ads. They're charging $150 for this OS, and ads are just low-hanging fruit to get free money as far as companies are concerned. And I did a whole rant about ads. So they added ads in, and targeted ads, no less, that were very difficult to opt out from entirely. Yes, on the installation screen you had a choice you could pick that, lowered the amount of targeted ads. But that option, for anonymity, somehow would mysteriously always get turned off. Or rather, targeted ads would get turned back on. Somehow. Nobody really knows how. So there's that problem. Then came Cortana, which, as you guys know, if something has to be voice activated, that means you have a live mic all the time. And somebody found out that Cortana actually saved things. Listened in a little bit, if you will. Now, Microsoft has, of course, denied this, and other people have confirmed it, and other people have said, no, it's not true, but the implication was there. Their little smart assistant that was trying so hard to be the Google Assistant or Siri was doing a little more than it said it was going to be doing on the surface. Now, this was kind of a problem in Windows 10, but it became more of a problem in Windows 11, where they kind of removed quietly the opt-out feature for the ads. And they also, through a sneaky update, at first publicly added, quote, AI tools, which the AI bandwagon is one of the dumbest fucking things to hit the information age. Sorry, guys. It's useful in select cases. It is not a one-size-fits-all solution to anything else other than needing really advanced word prediction software. So they added it in. And it turns out, if you want to use Microsoft's Copilot to undo any action, it has to record every action. And it did. And it stored them in an obvious spot with no encryption, no security whatsoever. So if your hard drive wasn't encrypted, in hindsight, this is probably why they pushed encryption so hard. Anyone could pull your drive and get all your shit. Literally everything. Anything you ever typed, wrote, images, whatever. So there's a Windows 11 debloat script, and I highly encourage people to use it, that pulls the AI tools, pulls the Xbox bar. You can pull just about any software that's baked into Windows that you want. And they still have the Zune built into Windows. Whatever the Zune Sync application was called. And the Windows Phone application is built into Windows too. Like, what the fuck, dudes? And then, so we're back to shitty releases of adding things and not removing things that aren't necessary anymore, opening up security holes, which I'm sure you guys have already heard of a few. And so Windows 11, though I'm running it, I ran a debloat script. If you search Win11 debloat script, you'll find one on GitHub. It's amazing. It doesn't free up a whole lot of RAM, but man, does it fix some real annoying things and get rid of some security holes. But I do need to go. I've been letting the slideshow go while I'm fucking ranting, and it was supposed to be playing the game while I'm ranting. And my cats need attention before I go to bed, don't you? So thanks for tuning in. Next round I'll be hopefully killing the spider mastermind. We'll see. And everybody have